evening, everybody. My name's Tom Stoukas, coming to you from Sarnia, Ontario, on June 20th, Friday, June 20th. And as we head into the weekend, we watching the situation in the Middle East to see if that war is going to go super hot. Well, it's hot now, I guess. There's court right as this moment. There's explosions heard over Tel Aviv. It's 4 a.m. there. So they're still bombing each other like it's been quite a few days in a row. And it's crazy stuff. It's crazy. We don't know what's gonna happen, and I have came to this conclusion that it's gonna happen. Like, there's gonna be a war with Iran. Like, there's just too much bad blood. There's too many obstacles to a peaceful resolution, and it's just a matter of selling it to the people, us, the people, just like they did for Iraq. They scared a lot of people. They had 9/11, and they just pumped the shit out of that. And you didn't have Twitter back then, and that war, so it was a lot more easier to manipulate the people. And yeah, it's crazy. So the question we're at now is, what's going to happen? So as of right now, Israel and Iran are trading missiles with each other, like firing missiles at each other. And it's gonna get like, something's got to happen to resolve the situation, because it can't go like this forever. Keep throwing missiles at each other. And that's what we're watching to see what'll happen. I already said my opinion. I thought this was too much like the same MO as the Iraq War of 2003, whereas the decision for war was already made long before, and there was just this semblance of diplomacy and negotiation, and like that was just basically a show. It didn't mean anything, never was going to mean anything. And I think there's a movie they made with a bunch of people, James Gandolfini, about that exact same thing, how there's, no matter what, they're going to go to war with Iraq. It was going to happen. And I have the same feeling with the Iran war. And hopefully I'm wrong. Like, hopefully Trump's the deal, which I don't know, but hopefully, I'd like to be wrong, and that Trump would put the kibosh in any war and figure out a solution with the Iranians that don't result in like U.S. or Israel nuking a site not far from 2 hours south of their city of 10 million. Like, it's going to change the world. And like, from what I'm starting to understand is they can't destroy this. Even the bunker busters can't destroy this one complex called Fordo or whatever. It's just south of Tehran. So if they'd have to nuke the place, turn it to glass. And it's like I said, there's a city of 10 million just right there, 2 hours away. Like, it's not that easy. And Trump knows that. He can't nuke it. But Netanyahu, he would totally nuke them. Totally. In fact, there's a TV show, remember Homeland, with Claire Danes? She, I think one of the season 3 opened with Israel had nuked the reactor, and they got away with it. The world was they were criticized by the world, but they got away with it. So maybe a little Hollywood foreshadowing, but predictive programming, I guess. But like I said, I think the decision for the war has already been ratified by the powers that be. The logistics are immense to start a war, so you can't just like, it's like turning around a super tanker on a dime. You can't do it. So these things take months to prepare, and I think the decision was already made. And I mean, I still could be wrong. Seymour Hersh, who's a longtime reporter, lots of contacts in the government, says the U.S. is gonna join the Israeli attack this weekend, so in the next 2 days. And I don't know, Seymour's a pretty reliable guy when it comes to stories. He's got a lot of reliable sources. So, and it wouldn't be out of the question because Trump was pulling the old rope-a-dope with them not too long ago. They were negotiating. They were set to negotiate, and then they all got blown up in their beds. So he's deceived them before. So now he's saying within 2 weeks he's got to decide whether to bomb them or not. What's to say he's not deceiving them again? And it's like he said within 2 weeks, so it could still be this weekend. But it's a big move for Trump, and I think he even knows, no matter how, if he is compromised, he still knows it's a huge move that he would rather not do. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. It's not an easy solution. That's the problem. Why I think the war was already decided on, because you got all the logistics set in place. You got carrier groups moving in like that. That stuff takes a long time to organize. So, same with Iraq. They were organizing way before. And I guess I saw a video too. They were serving the base there steak and lobster, and that's like a tradition they do before they go to a combat situation. So, I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm totally wrong, and I have to apologize to Trump for calling him Israeli ball liquor or whatever, Jewish ball liquor. I gladly apologize. Trust me, gladly apologize. But I think it's going to happen. Because Netanyahu's a devil. He never saw a country he didn't want to bomb, and he's desperate to stay in power. I can't believe he's like 75. He's old demon. And it's hard to say what's going to happen, but like Israeli government and Israeli, like the players in Israeli society would love to regime change Iran, like totally put in a government of their choosing, like a la Iraq, like defang Iraq, just like they did defang Lebanon, defang Syria, and now they want to do Iran, and I don't think they're going to stop. And I think they're going to use their influence in the U.S. government to make them come on board with it, because the U.S. opinion, a lot of Americans will go along with it. If you look at Fox, they're just nonstop. Even the Democrats don't seem too worried about it. They seem to be like pro-Israel, despite what they say. So I just see this as set in stone. Like the animosity between the regime and the two governments in Iran and Israel is so high, and Israel does not want them to even be doing anything with nuclear energy or anything nuclear related. And I just think that the decision's been set. It reminds me of Iraq, because even Iraq, the 2003 war, people thought right up until George Bush made the announcement that the bombing was going to begin, that there was going to be some kind of diplomacy, right? Like a lot of people were hoping right till the end that there would be diplomacy, while other people were behind Bush to do the war. So the point is, it was already set in stone, and like that, all that diplomacy and the inspections that were, there were still inspectors in the country while Bush was threatening to invade. So all that was just a show, just to say, okay, we waited, we tried. And I see the same thing happening now. But Trump, we'll see how he handles it. I don't know. I can't see him doing like a Bush and doing a shock and on Tehran. Like when they did to Baghdad, that was horrible. Like, I don't know. Maybe Israel will do a shock and awe too. But who knows what'll happen. But I see the same hope too. People are like, oh, this Trump's going to reach a deal. He's be showing toughness. And I see the same thing people were hoping back in the Iraq war. They thought that diplomacy would work. They thought close. They held out hope almost right till the end. A lot of people, that diplomacy would avert a war. But when you're already decided on war, why avert it? Once the war drums get built up, it's hard to stop. Like once you got all those aircraft carriers and that steaming in. The Nimitz is being sent there from the Pacific. I think it's going to be there next week, the next week or two. So apparently they have a huge amount of forces in the area. Like it's, of course, and it's interesting too. Like Iran is such a big country, and you can't really defeat it through the air. You have to have like some kind of army in there if you want to occupy it or, beat it. Like, so that's the interesting, like, what's going to happen? Are they going to put boots on the ground? But I don't think they will. But if they do put boots on the ground, they'll do it like Syria, where they'll do it around the oil. So if you look in the Persian Gulf, they have like, on the one side is the Gulf states with their oil fields. On the other side there's Iran, and they're very close together. So, and the U.S. bases could literally hop over there and occupy those oil fields, just like they occupy the oil fields in Syria. Like they don't occupy Syria, but they occupy the oil fields. So there's a lot of strip of oil fields right off the water there where the U.S. could land, and they could declare, okay, we're taking this land as oil, as we're protecting the oil for the real Iranians. Some bullshit. So I could see the boots on the ground there. Maybe not up in the mountains, but at least by the water, because a lot of the oil conveniently is around the water there. And they got U.S. has a lot of forces there, and I think that's what they're going to do, my opinion. So, like I said, hopefully I'm wrong, and this whole kerfuffle ends up simmering down, right? But I don't see it happening. Unfortunately. My gut says no. So keep an eye on it and see what the repercussions will be. Like oil might go up, the economies might crash, terrorist attacks, like crazy people, even like people that are sympathetic to a certain side might go all lone wolf and try to make history of their own. So like it could be a crazy time. Hopefully not, but it's weird how Trump, he looks kind of, what's the word, tormented. I don't know, maybe it's just an act. Maybe he's just selling us this tormented thing, so when he does attack, he looks like the reluctant warrior, so I don't know. Trump, would be hard to ask Israel to end strike. So yeah, Trump's been like, and that's another thing too, is all this stuff right now with Israel bombing Iran, especially with the with the assassin, like the targeted assassinations on the early days of the bombing. Like, let's not fool ourselves. The U.S. has been in on this. They were in on the decisions. They were in on a lot of the logistics. They supplied the weapons, for God's sake. They supplied the weapons that they're bombing, they're dropping on the Iranians. So, like, to say the U.S. isn't already involved in this is kind of an insult to intelligence, because they are. This is almost like Ukraine, where for like legal purposes, the Ukrainians are the ones fighting, but really it's a NATO financed operation. Like, Ukraine wouldn't be fighting without all that weaponry from NATO and U.S. And it's the same thing with Israel. So the only question is, will they increase their participate? They're already participating. The only question is, will they increase their participation? And by that, it's like like huge big bombs dropping on Iran. It's going to be very interesting. So the question is there going to be a war between the U.S. and Iran? Because it looks like Israel, despite all the bravado of the Israel accounts on X and the internet, Israel can't take Iran on their own. If you took out the U.S. weapons from the Israeli forces, like, it would be over. So they can't take Iran on their own. They need the U.S. to do it. The only question is, will the U.S. do it? And when don't they do it for Israel? That's the question. So I'm not very optimistic. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. Let's go to the daily. I apologize too. I've been working all day. I'm heat stroked again. Plus, I was up all night. Kids were up all night. Oh. Let's go. So yeah, we're keeping an eye on it. I'm going to be here all weekend. Keeping an eye on this war business. The Canada stuff's kind of boring. Some legislation, just a more centralized Canada, make it more communist. No surprise. I'm sure we'll talk about Canada. I'm just really interested in this Iran thing because I lived through the Iraq thing and it's just weird. I hated it when it happened. I was in university when the Iraq war thing came. And it was crazy, the universities, the discussion that was so... You couldn't voice any opinion against Iraq for some reason. It was weird. And you're starting to feel the same way in this one. I don't like that. Really. And I've been a little insulting to some people on the internet who push for the wars and the bombings and, like, make light of the deaths. It's like... I just don't have any. I don't like the neocon warmonger, so I don't like to insult. I don't insult just anybody. It has to be a neocon warmonger. All right. Or apologist for baby killing, killing children. Okay. Speaking of that, our first post. The devils who mock the death of children. So this is Randy Fine. He's a congressman in the U.S. He's Jewish. And he's like, you should be ashamed of yourself. How do you sleep at night? That's a dead baby that Israel bombed. Lots of pictures like that. Quite well, actually. Thanks for the pic. And he's made comments like this before. Like, he's made a lot of outrageous comments about dead kids. It's disgusting. And then when they get bombed by the Iranians, like a real bomb, not like those pea shooters that Hamas fires. When they get bombed, they act like it's the end of the world. Like, oh my God. And it's like, the clear answer is, I hate anybody getting bombed. whether it's an Israeli house or an Iranian house or a Palestinian house or a Ukrainian or Russian. But usually, if you're in a war, like especially one that you kind of dominate and start, you shouldn't cry when you get it. Like even the Russians, when Ukraine started bombing them into Russia, like Russia proper, you didn't see too many Russians crying, oh, why do they bomb us? You know, like they kind of just took it with the territory. Like, okay, we're in war. We're probably going to get bombed. So I thought it's messed up. It's a weird mentality they have. Like that, they bombed a hospital, I guess, in Israel, and nobody died, but apparently there's a military surrounding it, military conflict. The point is how the hell are you crying about damaged hospital when you literally wiped out the whole hospital region, the whole region full of hospitals in Gaza? Like it's crazy. You don't have to like getting the hospital bombed or damaged, but don't cry like a baby, because like you kind of did the same thing 40 times. It's whacked. It's mentally ill behavior, really, I have to say. If it was a person, they'd be mentally ill. This is Joe Warrington. Whether you're the premier, own an apartment or mansion, you're just not safe in your own home anywhere in the GTA. Home invaders or carjackers are now in charge. So he's just doing a video about how his neighborhood had a bunch of thieves running around. But I said Doug Ford has been premier for 7 years. And the fat trader helped destroy Ontario. Yeah, he helped destroy Ontario because what he did was he opened the door for immigration, unfettered immigration. I know it's a federal thing, but him and Doug Ford and Trudeau were hand in hand and filling Ontario with immigrants to help Doug Ford's development buddies, developer buddies, destroyed Ontario. And now they're crying GTA's like anarchy in the GTA, like purge style. Well, it's because you bring in people from all over the world. South America, Africa, India, and they're left to their own devices, and they think Canada's a joke. Like they just take it for all it's worth. Of course, you're gonna have anarchy. It's crazy. Toronto's destroyed. Doug Ford should be ashamed of himself. For 7 years, the guy's been premier. He hasn't done anything. My kid's school has a stupid flag sitting up there. You got GTA's like no-go zone. Traffic, garbage, everything. Full of Indians, unfortunately. Anyway. And we got to worry about Iran. We don't have to worry about Iran because Doug Ford destroyed Ontario. It's funny, Canada's been a lot silent on the Iran thing, but it's funny, everybody's been silent. They're like, do whatever you want. We don't. It's like they kind of tacitly support the initiative to get rid of the Iranian government. Speaking of the Iranian government, Israel's Iran stooge in waiting. His dad did such a bang up job. He had to flee the country for his life. So this guy's the son of the Shah who got kicked out of Iran in 1979. This guy's been living abroad as a rich, pampered, pretend prince, and now he's come out of the woodwork to take back the Shah, whatever, of Iran. But it doesn't look like that's ever going to happen, I don't think, but look at this guy. And I kind of relate to this because we had a Greek king that got kicked out. And he always tried to come back. And they actually had a vote to get rid of the monarchy in Greece. So, but this guy reminds me of the Greek royal family. Because they lived abroad, lived the high life abroad, and thought they could come back. But look at this guy. There he is at the wall. Son of Iran's last Shah, marked Holocaust Remembrance Day during Israel trip. And then Iranian Princess marries Jewish businessman in lavish Paris wedding. So yeah, like, of course Israel wants this guy to be the new leader of Iran. I don't know if it's gonna. I don't think that's gonna happen. Okay. Next. This is a good post. We've gone from. This is the thing with Iran. It just keeps getting crazier and crazier, and it's coming. Like, it's crazy. We have gone from Iran must not get a nuclear weapon to White House told Fox News everything's on the table, even tactical nukes. Yes, tactical nukes. Like, Netanyahu would love to use some nukes on Iran. I think he will. I think if it came down to it, he would. Totally. And you hear it when they say, oh, Israel controls the skies of Iran. It's kind of like they're kind of getting you ready for it. Like, they want to prepare you subconsciously to accept that they're nuking it, okay? It's like a bug. We're going to nuke it. So, because I'm hearing more and more is the bunker busters won't do the job. I don't know. It's so interesting to see how Trump's going to handle this. Next post here. Netanyahu's war-oriented regime change policies has led to a majority of Americans now holding an unfavorable view of Israel for the first time in our history. And this includes an outright majority of Republicans under 50. Yeah, it's crazy. This would never have happened when I was growing up. It was always Israel, pro-Israel, pro-Israel. Obviously, it was before the internet, but this would never happen. But that's the demon Netanyahu who's destroyed the image of Israel. I'm not saying it was perfect before, but he put it really into the toilet, because you just look at the guy and it's like, man, I don't trust a word this guy says. So yeah, huge shift. Huge shift. That's why I'm worried when you see shifts like that's it's like you almost have nothing left to lose. So for a guy who like Netanyahu, if he has nothing to lose, and a lot of people around him in Israel say they have nothing to lose, then they'll be very less restrained to do what they think they need to do. So, next post. American boots on the ground is Israel's goal. Air power alone won't be enough. No. Look, they had troops in Iraq, and Iraq is a flat country with easy access to by the sea and the land, whatever. Not easy, but compared to some countries, very flat. Iran's covered by surrounded by mountains. 90 million people, 3 times the amount of Iraq. So let's say with this guy was interesting. The United States is going down a path that will ultimately mean boots on the ground. Middle East expert Valley Nasser war games potential. American intervention in Iran. Okay. Let's see what this says here.
On their agenda.
Well, but the reality is that what he's saying, I'm losing my patience, that I'm going to bomb Fordo. But what after?
Yeah, well, that's the big question.
That's the big question. Mm-hmm. Is he really ready for Iran that might say that look, okay, they've bombed us, we cannot sit still, we have to retaliate. They retaliate, Americans get killed, or they attack energy resources, they shut down the Straits of Hormuz. Then what? I mean, then United States is going down a path that ultimately will mean boots on the ground, and then we're in a situation where he forswear taking the United States into.
I just sat back when you said boots on the ground. I mean, there's no talk about that at all. Not even Israeli boots on the ground or tanks or anything like that. They have air supremacy and all the rest of it. But do you think, because they swear up and down that it's not their official goal, but in their speeches and in their words and in their targeting, do you think regime change is unquestionably on their agenda?
Well, let's sort of parse this.
Yep.
Israel and Iran will not go to war with tanks and artillery because they don't share a border. And Israel is a much smaller country. So Israel can carry air war, cyber war against Iran. If that does not yield the result and Israel needs boots on the ground, its boots on the ground are called the United States of America. That's the strategy. That's why Prime Minister Netanyahu wants to get America into the war very quickly, because then it actually makes Israel's campaign much more effective.
Look who's back. Steve Bannon seen at the White
All right.
House.
But the reality is that what he's saying, I'm losing my patience, that I'm going to bomb Fordo. But what after?
Yeah, well, that's the big
Right.
question.
That's the big question. Is he really?
All right. So yeah, that guy was interesting. He seems pretty knowledgeable. He wouldn't be on Christine Amanpour if he didn't know what he's talking about, but kind of offers a little bit of a contrarian opinion to all the experts that are promoting this war. And he's basically saying what I was saying, like, and it made me interested. It interested me. What he was saying is that the U.S. and Israel, if they bomb the Fordo complex, the nuclear complex, or they push Iran enough to the point where Iran strikes back at the oil supplies and the oil refineries, U.S. forces, U.S. bases, which are right there, like they could hit them like that, then U.S. would have a pretext to send troops to those at least to those oil areas where they have troops close by, and then bomb the shit out of the rest of it. That's what he's saying could happen. So, it's pretty dangerous stuff to go down, pretty dangerous path, but I don't think Netanyahu would have any hesitation of going that. But Trump, I don't know. He seems to be resisting, but that could be a show. I don't know if I trust him after this whole thing started. And he said when they bombed Iran by like a surprise attack, I didn't like the way he reacted. Like he was playing cute. Like, oh, did he know about it? Did he not know? Of course he knew about it. I don't like that. So he's been sending so many mixed signals. It's like, wow, such a serious thing. But maybe he'll pull it off. I'll be the first to apologize. Okay. This was a good one. Iran cannot have nuclear weapons because they'd blow up entire cities. And this is Gaza, of course. Yeah. It's a big problem, the nuclear weapons. I mean, Pakistan's got them, India's got them, Israel's got them. It's a problem. It's hard. I don't know what the solution is. I don't want any of them to have them. I don't want anybody to have them. Jeez, we're Superman when you need them. Next post. This is funny. Brampton mayor calls for terror designation of India-based Bishnoi gang. Look at Patrick Brown here. The whitest dude ever. And it's funny that he's the mayor of Brampton. I think he'll be the last mayor, the white mayor of Brampton. I mean, it's just the population. Like, it's just demographics we're talking about here. But yeah, how about deport them instead of designating them as a terror Instead of designating them as a terror group, how about just deport them? But this is Canada. Close the border and mass deportations to India? No, it'll never happen. It's never going to happen. Black pilling on Canada. We're screwed here. We'll see if we're screwed in the Middle East too. It's all right though. I still live my life. Go to the park. So, this is my thoughts. Basically, what I'm seeing. Also, I trust my gut. But I hope I'm wrong. I do. I'm almost 100% sure the U.S. will attack Iran. Maybe by this weekend. Israel doesn't want any limitations to enrichment. They want to blow it up. They want to blow up everything and destroy the leadership of the country. There's no room for negotiation. Never was. Trump is just going through motions to make it look like he tried diplomacy, when the decision for war was already made. Same shit happened in Iraq. Disgusting. So yeah, that's the way I see it. This is the headline today. Senior Iranian official Reuters. Iran ready to discuss limitations on its uranium enrichment. See, they don't want nothing, Israel. They don't want limitations, nothing. They want it gone. I just can't see them trading missiles with each other every night and then not escalating. Either it stops or it escalates. All right. Next headline. Senior Iranian official, zero enrichment will be rejected, especially now under Israeli strikes. Role of European powers now more prominent as Tehran is willing to engage with U.S. amid Israeli attacks. Unwilling to engage U.S. Yeah, I don't think the Europeans are going to help the Iranians. Next, Randy Hillier is kind of funny. He said, well, he basically said in a nutshell, one religious theocracy, Israel, starting a war against another religious theocracy, Iran, because the first theocracy has unlawful nuclear weapons, the other one may make lawful nuclear weapons, but hasn't. I don't think they can make lawful nuclear weapons. But anyway, they want to make nuclear weapons, maybe. First theocracy can't finish the war and achieve its aims without military assistance from the West, and instead of using their own nukes, they would prefer if America uses their nukes against Iran. Israel hopes this will ensure they remain the only theocracy in the Middle East with nukes. Yeah, I believe, if the Americans don't nuke it, the Israelis will, but they don't want to nuke it. They want the Americans to nuke it so they could take all the heat for it. Next post. There's defense officials float tactical nuke to destroy Iran's Fordo site as world awaits Trump decision. So yeah, this is crazy. The waiting game to see. I think Trump, I don't know, he seems to be resisting the Israelis, but could be a show. I think Israel's decided what they're going to do. The rest is just window dressing. That's just what my gut tells me. Just what my gut tells me. All right. This martyr made. I don't know how old. He's been tweeting a lot about this. He's very interested. He's done a lot of work on this subject. And I kind of relate to this. He says, I don't know how old you are, but I remember the lead up to Iraq. We let these people take us into that war, and it did immense damage to a country. And now we're heading towards following Israel into war they started completely by choice. After the world has watched them carry out in Gaza the worst civilian butchery by any civilized democracy in decades. At least I will stop focusing on this when it's over. And that's how I feel. It's the last thing I want to do is worry about if Israel and Iran are in a war. Normally I couldn't care less, but it has the potential to really blow it up, especially if stuff starts happening over here, as a result, which it could very well. A lot of crazy people on both sides. And so that's where we're at. I think it's going to happen. This Seymour Hirsch sources say it's going to happen this weekend, and I think the reason I think it's going to happen is because it's the military. Once the war machine starts marching, it's hard to stop. It only gets faster. So for Trump to say, pick up the phone and say, okay, call it off, it's not that simple. It's going to be crazy. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we don't have another shock and awe too. So that's basically, we're in the waiting game, it seems. And Canada's leaders are garbage. So that's the stories of the day. Final post. Some little good news. It's kind of funny. River City Vineyard, which is they run the homeless shelter and food bank in Sarnia. One of the food banks and homeless shelters. And apparently the food and money, they put this post out, food and money donation from the Outlaws Motorcycle Club. They came once a month. Thank you. You help keep us going. So yeah, the Outlaws. Apparently we have motorcycle gangs in Sarnia, because when I go to Walmart and other stores, they have a sticker on the wall saying no gang colors. And I was like, what is this, LA? But apparently it's in reference to the cuts that are cut, the biker gang cuts, vests that they wear, which I thought was interesting. I was like, but they donate to the homeless, apparently. The Outlaws. I thought that was pretty nice of them. So that's the day of news. Pretty crazy stuff. Crazy. I'm just going with my gut. I'm going to call right now. Say totally the U.S. is totally going to war. But I hope I'm wrong, and I hope Trump is the man. But, so yeah. We'll see. Next broadcast tomorrow, June 21st, 9 p.m. Eastern. Maybe things will change between now and then. We'll have some crazy ass stuff to talk about, or it'll be just more of the same waiting. Hopefully we can look at other stuff going on. But yeah, the weekend is upon us. So until tomorrow, everybody have a nice night. We'll talk to you later.